being here. If I could ask you all to rise, I just wanted to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. I appreciate you all being here. This is meant to be a positive night for the candidates who are running for office here in town. We're going to hear from the mayor who's running for re-election. We have people here who are running for General Assembly seats, Town Council seats, and school committee seats. Everyone was given an agenda and a run of show on how this forum will take place. But I also just wanted to take a quick minute just to explain how we got here, because there's been a lot of unfortunate misinformation that has flowed out into the community through Facebook and through other means. Keri Smith, who's here, who is one of the candidates for school committee, had reached out to me around August 16th and asked if the Cumberland Democrats would be willing to partner up with the Cumberland Republicans to host some type of joint event. With this being the first year that the town is going nonpartisan for our council races, I thought that was a fantastic idea for the two political parties in town to work together to help make sure that all of our voters were informed, and when they go to the ballot to vote, it would be an informed decision and not just picking, geez, this name looks interesting, I think I'm going to select this person. So that was our intent. I had some qualifications for us participating in this event, and the first one was I did not agree with a meet and greet style event. It was important for me to make sure all of the candidates that were appearing tonight had equal opportunity to speak, and I did not want a crowd or someone to try to hijack their time by asking tons of questions or ganging up on someone, so we needed to have some type of structure in place. And luckily, the Republicans agreed to that. So Tim Rule, who's the chairman of the Republican Party, said, you know what, that's fantastic, that's great. We sent in a joint press release to the Valley Breeze, we sent it to Ethan Shorey, everything was good. Their people released it early on the Facebook group to let everyone know what the format was going to be, that this was going to be a forum, that there were going to be speeches given, and that we would have a short question and answer session moderated by myself and Chairman Wood. How this has morphed into dirty politics or us being, not above board with this, I have no idea. I honestly think if some of these people put 1% of the effort that they have put into their social media posts and all the vitriol that they throw out on social media, they would have been able to come here and answer the questions tonight. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But what we do have is we have a lot of people who care about the town of Cumberland who are here tonight. We have a lot of people that want to share their ideas, their hopes, and their goals for the town of Cumberland tonight, and that is a wonderful thing. And those people should be commended for being here, and that they are doing their civic duty to try to earn your vote. And that is what this is all about. So thank you all for coming. I'm so glad to see so many people here to hear this forum. I think this is wonderful, and thank you so much to all the candidates who are here. And I'm so excited to get started. To stick with the agenda, first up we are going to hear from Mayor Mutter. Unfortunately, his opponent, Brad Dean, chose not to participate in tonight's forum, but the mayor has the floor. He has 3 minutes to provide some information about himself and his campaign. So thank you, Mayor.
So I'm just going to start with a brief introduction. I told people when I was running for the mayor that you were getting a world traveler. So mom and dad, I was born in Central Falls, as was most people back in my day, and mom and dad moved us to East Earl Street. Dad opened up a business like maybe a quarter mile down the street on Broad Street. We then moved 9/10 of a mile to Meadowcrest Drive. I went to all the Cumberland public schools, got married, and moved a half a mile down the street to Kent Street. I worked at the family business 4/10 of a mile down the street, went to Providence College, and so I bring a wealth of experience and world traveling knowledge to the mayor's office. So I live at 12 Scotia Drive with my wife, former Jenny Zagrowski. Both my adult children graduated from the Cumberland Public School System, as did Jenny's two sons who were college age at this time. So we know the importance of education here in Fort Hartford over the years. So when I did announce, there were two things that I said that this campaign was going to be about. One was going to be about the record. I'm going to run it clearly on what we've been able to accomplish. And the second one was going to be about thanking everyone. And so I do want to recognize the candidates who are here tonight for school committee and town council. I know there were others as well, but those are not lifetime politician jobs, right? Those are community service jobs, very retail, difficult jobs. I commend anyone who tries to get elected to those positions, and those who serve on deserve respect. That is, as I said, that is not career politics. That's community service. That's caring about your community and trying to make a difference. So, and then on this section of the agenda, I'll just close with over my time being, whether it was on, I was on the council for 8 years. I retired. I came back. I retired again. I was on the school committee. I retired. I came back. I thought I was retired officially. But along the way, when there was difficulty or when I questioned, why I was there or that it was trying times, it was always someone who either reached out to me, came down the shop, email, if they were email back in the day, called. So the thing that I think about is that I maybe haven't been as appreciative enough over the 26 years in total, counting the retirements. And so I want to make sure, like during this campaign, that people know that I appreciate all the efforts and also behind the scenes, anyone who reached out, anyone who gave me some healthy criticism as well as support, I'm truly grateful. I'm grateful for it. I want to make sure that I do that during this campaign. So thank you.
So even though we just have Mayor Jeff Mutter here, I still felt it was important that we ask the questions that we're going to be asked of both candidates. So you already kind of touched on this a little bit, but is there anything else in your background that you might want to share? We had a question about that.
My background?
Yeah. I think being in retail, we have a family business on Broad Street, which when you run a family business, you're an admin, you're HR, your maintenance, you're just about everything. So I think that's an important part of and the everyday interaction with people who live in town, and clearly that's a major expense that when you visit that business. So I think that background translates well to dealing with constituent issues and understanding what's behind those. And clearly, we're never going to fix everything. The job is to do as well as we can today, leave it better than we found it, get back up tomorrow and try again.
So also just wanted to talk to you briefly about the tone of your campaign and some of the strategies that you've incorporated with your messaging and how you think the public is responding to that.
So, when I ran in 2018, better place to live, work, and play. And I'm not a front of the parade guy, and none of those things that I have accomplished are clearly all my own doing. Far from it, right? I do not plow a street. I do not cut the grass. I have been known to do something on the sidewalks in front of town hall. But the big things are all responsible for a collaborative effort from people who I work with every day to all the groups, land trust, and I don't want to mention them all because obviously I'll forget them. But so it was about to make Cumberland a better place to live, work, and play. We're gonna run the campaign and get the message out that we think we've done that. Do we think we've been perfect? No, we don't by any means think we've been perfect. And then the other thing is that the experience is not being a career politician, understanding how it works, understanding the nuances of the levy, of just the government procedure. It can be it does take a little more time, and that is frustrating for sure. But it's all built on transparency, right? That all those, I call them sometimes bureaucratic obstacles, but they're there to make sure that everyone is taking it down the straight and narrow. So but understanding those, knowing what you can and what you cannot do, what's legal, what's not legal, and then I think the other experience is when you're having to get 4 votes on a Wednesday night, which is a majority of the council, or 4 votes on a Thursday night, which is a majority of the school committee. The experience of being in those seats and knowing what's required to earn that vote, that's very important. That is not something that you take for granted. And so I do think that over the years, I think my record's shown that, I can, that I'm going to do everything I can to get you the information you need. And if you don't vote my way, I'm not going to beat you over the head. Because we got another vote coming out of that. Thanks.
A couple more questions. We're also hoping to hear a little bit more about the financial management of the town. Just wanted to discuss and hear from you on some of the financial strategies that you've implemented in the town. If you could talk about that a little bit, that'd be great. Thank you.
I appreciate that question because this year, one of the few communities that have the financial statements done on time without an extension. There's been 2 years in a row that we've received the Distinguished Budget Award, so we're proud of that. We're proud of the 5 years that we have balanced the budget. Any surpluses that have been derived from those budgets have been apportioned to fund balances because we knew we needed to get in front of the school construction borrowing, which was going to be a big number. So instead of having a major tax increase, which would have hit this year, we balanced the budget, we put money aside, and now we're rolling that money back into the general fund budget so that to keep the tax rate as low as possible, and it was still in the 2.5% range, even doing that. So, it's kind of in the weeds. A lot of the I don't want to date myself, but a lot of the financial ordinances that the council has to deal with started way back in 2004, and that was one of the years I was there before one of the retirements. I think it was before the first retirement. So we are proud of that, and I think it's important, right? Because that's really what drives the ship. If the finances are solid, obviously funding is the number one driver. So. We're proud of those accomplishments. Thanks.
And last question would be, could you share more about your vision for the town of Cumberland moving forward into this next term?
Sure. Let me too. We do have some council members who are running for a re-election as well too. So, and it is important. These are not rubber stamp positions. Just people, and I know it's off the question, but I'm gonna answer it a little bit, right? So people think that when you get a 7-0-6 to 1, that this is not about rubber stamps. This is about getting people the information they need, communicating those, and coming up with a better product. It's easy to vote no, right? So I just want to, for those who are here, I've appreciated through the years the support that, whether I was a council president or a school committee chair, that we've had, a lot of votes that were heavy majority Actually, when you look at it, probably overall 98% of the votes are anyway. But on the big ones, you know, those are derived by doing the work prior. It's just like anything else. That doesn't just happen that night. That's by earning some trust and getting the information you need. So as far as the vision, my feeling is not to chase the bright and shiny. We have some projects that are still in the works, and we need to stay focused on those projects and finish those projects. Too many times we go over here to this one or over here to that one, and then we really never do that one right. So the Emerald building is a big, we think that's a vital asset to the town. And as far as continuing our outreach efforts, which I think have never been as strong as they are now. So really the vision is to put us in a position to do more infrastructure repairs, which are going to be required, and finish up the projects that we have, and then I'll just close on school construction. I mean, obviously we made a big commitment there, and you can see the results at the schools, and we also have Viet Norton, which is coming down the pike. So, you know, we're going to have to do the same thing that we did this time, as far as, you know, balancing our spending and being able to take on that additional debt without, you know, some sort of major tax increase. So I know I jumped all over the place, but I wanted to get those in. Thank you.
I'm kind of torturing the mayor a little bit because I'm making him run through the whole program that we had set up. So what we were planning on doing next was a lightning round. We were going to ask three questions that are, you know, they're a little tricky. So let's see, Mr. Mayor, how you do?
You know, there was an Einstein quote that anything that you can find somewhere else, you should never keep it in your mind, because there's only so much you can keep in there. So I'm going to rely on that.
So the first question, what is the population of the town of Cumberland according to the last census?
Can it just be close?
Close.
Yeah. That's 37,000.
So that's pretty close. So the census was 36,405. This might be a little trickier. When was the town of Cumberland incorporated?
1746, I won the 250th anniversary road race on Naval Highway.
That's correct. And just had to ask you one financial-based question. What is the tax rate for residential and commercial properties in the town of Cumberland?
1195.
Oh, per thousand. All right, so he got it. So we're good. The mayor got went 3 for 3 with the lightning round. So next up, we have our Senate District 19 race. Unfortunately, Amanda Blaze, who is challenging Senate Majority Leader Senator Ryan Pearson, chose not to participate tonight. So we will just be hearing from Leader Pearson tonight. So if you'd like to come up. Great.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you everybody for being here. It's great to see so many faces I know and some that I don't. I have really enjoyed my time in service in Cumberland, and it goes back a bit. It goes back to when I was a student in Cumberland High School, and I see Seth Gemsky in the back over there, who was in my class at Cumberland High School. We decided to start forming a group with some of the other seniors at the time called Save Our Schools, and we really united with a group of parents who was largely led by many, including in this microphone, Mrs. Beaulieu at the time. And we really got involved in making sure that not only were we going to make CHS a great school, but we were going to make sure we touched many schools across Cumberland. And that's really what got me involved in politics in the first place. Following that, I decided to make a run for the school committee in 2008, where I was able to serve for a few years there, and then in the Senate in 2012. And it has been, just one of the honors of my life to be able to represent my hometown and the town of Lincoln in the Rhode Island Senate. So being able to represent both Cumberland and Lincoln has been absolutely fantastic. And it's been one of those things that you learn a bit more every year that you're there. And you learn a little bit more about the issues that are in front of us, the issues that are coming here at home. And I've been really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. And not only bringing things home for Cumberland and bringing things home for Lincoln, but also really making sure that we can address so many things that are statewide. And so much of my time I've really tried to make sure has been spent on making sure that Rhode Island is a great place to live, and it's a great place to do business. And those two things have to come in concert. And to do that, it's a lot of the same basic things. We've got to make sure we have great schools. We have to make sure we have good roads, good airports, good bridges, which we've obviously spent a lot of money repairing those. We have to make sure we have recreational opportunities. These are all the things that really are making Rhode Island a better place. And we've also been able to do it while making sure that we're holding the line on taxes and making sure we're not going after families. And we haven't had broad-based tax increases in my entire time in the General Assembly. We've done things like reduce the car tax, completely eliminating the car tax. These are the types of things we've been able to do and make sure that we keep everything balanced. We need to make sure we're making our investments, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we're making Rhode Island a great place to live and somewhere that can be affordable. So I've really enjoyed the time that I've had in the Senate by way of my day job, because I do have to have a job that actually pays me. This one doesn't, not very much anyway. Is I'm a banker. Went to Providence College, I have a degree in finance, and have enjoyed that my entire career. And through the Senate, was able to rise through the Finance Committee, ultimately becoming the Finance Chairman, and now the Senate Majority Leader. So it's been a great privilege, it's been a great honor to represent you, and I really look forward to continuing to do so.
Thank you. So we just have a couple of questions. First would be, could you please just kind of discuss any of your legislative goals for the upcoming legislative session?
Sure, yeah, happy to. As I think about, I mentioned bringing things home and doing things statewide. So if you think about bringing things home, the mayor talked about school construction. Want to see that through. The state, and I want to recognize Representative Ackerman and Representative Voas, who are also here this evening. The state is pumping over $185 million in state aid to school construction in Cumberland and Lincoln for all these projects. This is an incredibly large amount, especially compared to what the normal reimbursement rate would have been. And so that is something we absolutely need to see through. We need to make sure those reimbursements come in at the full value. And the mayor and the council, the reps and I have worked consistently on that. We've made some changes to some plans. We've got a new BF Norton school coming in. All of this has been designed in a way to maximize those incentives and keep the tax impact to Cumberland locally low, but also get the maximum amount of work. So that's probably one of the biggest things on my list that I want to make sure we continue to get done. Other things, want to see the end hope development through. Want to make sure that we continue to see the work at Diamond Hill through. So those are some of the local things. At the state level, education is something that we have to get right. I am so proud of Cumberland, and I love when I get to go around the state and I talk about what is going. People ask me, what is going on in Cumberland? How are they moving up? How are they getting those achievement gains and being the lowest per pupil funded, or one of the lowest per pupil funded in the state? I think we've moved up from that notch over the last couple of years. Making sure that we can improve education for all students across Rhode Island is so important, because what happens in our community next door impacts us. And we have to make sure that for the state we can do that, continue to invest in infrastructure. So many of those things we need to continue to do. The one thing though that I will say has not been something that I put a ton of energy into up until the last few years has really been healthcare. And in the Senate, we made an initiative this year that healthcare was going to be our priority, healthcare was going to be our focus. We see so many different pressure points in the healthcare industry, and we really need to make sure that everyone has access to quality care, that you're able to find a primary care doctor, you're able to find the care that you need, and also can make it affordable. So in the Senate, we launched a big initiative this past year. I was proud to lead that along with our chairman and many other senators. We need to continue that work. We made a lot of progress this year, but there's much, much more we have to do. And that's probably the number one coming back on my list.
Thank you. And then just lastly, if you could share an achievement that you are most proud of.
Most proud of. I think it's school construction, and it's personal for me. I shared the story about how what first got involved. It was because my school was literally falling apart as a student. And we solved that here in Cumberland, and we are continuing to solve that here. But I do think not only solving it here, but solving it everywhere is something that I'm incredibly proud of. I was the chair of the task force. So you may not remember this, but through the Great Recession, there was a complete moratorium and freeze on any state reimbursement for school construction. No wonder why our schools began falling apart everywhere. And I was the chair of a task force. It was I think my first term in the Senate. I was a freshman senator. The president at the time had given me an opportunity to do it, and that ultimately led into the governor putting the program into her budget, us expanding it years later, and so much of the work that you see happening all around here in Cumberland is probably my most proud accomplishment, not only for what it did to my hometown, but for schools and the community as a whole. So, thanks, Tom.
Next up, we have House District 57. There is a primary happening in this district. It's incumbent Brandon Voas, and he is being challenged by Witt. Phoenix, if you'd like to come up and just address the crowd, that'd be great.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Phoenix Witt. I'm running for State House Representative here in Cumberland and Central Falls. I'm running in the Democratic primary against Brandon Voas. I'm running because I believe that we need somebody who's willing to fight for us. Brandon voted to double the maximum contribution limit in addition to a number of bills that I'm sure we'll talk about. And I believe that we need somebody who's actually willing to fight for working families, fight for public transportation, fight for green energy, make sure that we actually have universal health care, not just expanded health care access, make sure it's affordable for the average person, affordable housing, the issues that actually are affecting people and not the issues that corporations allow us to focus on. So in terms of making sure we have proportional representation, so that everybody is represented, making sure that we get corporate money out of politics, re-lower that campaign contribution limit. When we have the public funding of elections that we currently have, instead of using that to subsidize corporate lobbying, we're giving that to voters. In addition to subsidizing and putting money into affordable housing, investing our tax dollars into universal health care, and in terms of making sure that we have a tax base that's worth preserving, we can have a social wealth fund where we invest in our community, we invest in our businesses, and we get revenue from those investments in order to pay for our social services, in addition to taxing the wealthiest among us who have gotten tax break after tax break while the rest of us split the bill.
Just one follow-up question. Could you just share a newcomer's perspective to politics with the group?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming from an outside perspective on politics, I do believe that I'm more akin to the average person. I'm a barista, not a manager. I'm a very working class individual who shares your incentives. So when things go well for you, they'll go well for me. When things go well for the rich, they're not going to go so well for me. It's that outsider perspective I think is really important in politics.
Thank you, Phoenix. Next up, we have the incumbent representative from District 57, Brandon Voas.
Thanks everyone for having me, and thank you for everyone all coming out tonight. I think this is a great thing that Democratic and Republican town committees were able to organize. Obviously, it's been fortunate since some of the other candidates couldn't have made it out today. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brandon Voas, and I'm Ulster State Rep for here in the Valley in Northern Central Falls. As a lifelong resident here in the Valley, it's been a great honor to advocate for my community, really for all of you at the State House over the past 2 years. And really, I hope to keep on fighting for your interests in the State House, in the next term as your state representative. Over the past 2 years, I've been pretty successful. I've been able to pass 12 pieces of legislation that became law. Some of these bills included the elimination of the tangible tax. For those of you who don't really know what the tangible tax is, It's a tax, really a burdensome tax, an onerous tax on small businesses. Essentially, so for instance, say you own a restaurant, your forks, your knives, your tables, your POS systems, you would essentially have to depreciate that value and then pay the municipality every year. Now, I'm proud to pass legislation eliminating that tangible tax for 75% of businesses, which really encompasses all small businesses, which is a $38 million small business tax cut. Another great piece of legislation that I was able to pass is a bill to protect children from lead poisoning. This was a loophole in the 1976 Lead Hazard Mitigation Act. So really, this was really affecting children in both Central Falls and over in Providence. This was something that we worked really hard to get in coordinates with the Attorney General and the City of Central Falls, who these are really were the most impacted children. It's the City of Central Falls and the City of Providence. Just in my tenure, in the 2 years I was there, just because of this loophole, there were 18 kids in Central Falls and over 20 in Providence that were poisoned, that were lead poisoned due to this exact loophole. Another piece that I'm extremely proud of that was able to be signed into law is really a deceptive trade practice for seniors. This bill protects seniors. It was called the Senior Savings Protection Act. So this was a bill, so anytime you get an invoice, typically a paper invoice actually sent to your house, you're actually charged a fee. I don't know if too many of you who have actually recognized this or not. You're charged a fee if you don't want to go online. And there are a lot of citizens, senior citizens, who don't want to go online and pay their bills online. They're uncomfortable doing so. So what I've been able to do is eliminate that tax starting on October the 1st. Eliminate that fee, so now that every business that charges a senior citizen will actually be fined when they stay around. Another piece, which unfortunately did not get signed into law, but it did pass the House, was for veterans. I was really steadfast on helping the groups that really need it the most, and I was able to pass this piece of legislation in the House. It's a veterans minimum tax exemption. Right now, statewide, it's at $1,000. For instance, your home is worth $500,000. You take that $1,000 off, it's $499. What I really wanted to do was boost that up to $6,000. And again, this isn't groundbreaking. This isn't hitting the lottery for veterans. But again, it's about helping those people that need it the most. So that's another piece of legislation that I was really excited to be able to pass, and I will continue to fight for that if elected again. In September and November. Again, I think it's really extremely important to be able to help those who need it the most. I know and understand the financial challenges that we are facing these days, especially for families, seniors, veterans. And if elected, I will continue to fight for lowering costs, reduce healthcare and prescription drug expenses, and decrease taxes, keeping money in your pockets where it belongs. As a strong supporter and former student of Cumberland Public Schools, I will continue to advocate for our students and teachers to ensure that every child in Cumberland has the opportunity to learn, grow, and strive. And if I am blessed enough to receive your support once again, my main goal is next legislation, but as I've hammered home this point already, is really just to continue to help those who need it the most. I take this duty and responsibility extremely seriously, and I'm running again for District 57 seat because, of course, there's been much accomplished, but there's always so much more to do. And with your support, I will continue to fight for your quality of life at the State House, and I humbly ask for your support again in the September and November elections. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I just have one question for you, Representative. I know you kind of touched on a lot of your legislative achievements, in your opening remarks, but if you could also maybe discuss a little bit of what your future plans are for the district and at the state level.
Yeah. Sure. I think that a couple of the other speakers have already kind of hit on this. Education's a biggie. It's a real big. It's a big issue. Not really an issue. Excuse me. It's a big priority here in Cumberland and here across the state. And I don't want to get into past accomplishments again, but this is something I worked on in the last session as well, but in allowing the B.F. Norton School to be a ballot question for securing $73 million for the new construction of B.F. Norton School. So education, of course, is always a big one. And I really had this, 3 or 4 times in the last one, but again, it's just helping those and being able to identify those who need the most help. And I think I've done a good job of kind of spreading out legislation over my first couple of years. Being able to kind of pinpoint, again, those who need it the most, and those, those who need it the most. Thanks.
Great, folks. Switching gears a little bit, we're going to go to our town council races. So first up, we have our town council District 3 race. So I believe Lisa Beaulieu is here. I do not believe her opponent Brian Bernardo is here, but Lisa is the current incumbent council person from Council District 3. So thank you.
As Tom said, I'm Lisa Beaulieu, and I represent District 3, which is the Dave's Market side of Diamond Hill Road and all the way down to Dexter, and now runs past 295 down Lonesome Pine. So they moved my district. I think they felt I needed a few more steps during campaign season. So as Senator Pearson noted, I met Senator Pearson when he was a high school student, and I was a parent. At that time, the high school had been put on warning status for its accreditation, and I was so mad because of the facilities and the poor curriculum. And I started a bond campaign, so the first improvement to the high school was the science wing and the cafeteria, which I led as a parent, and thereafter became involved with the school committee, was elected in 2006 and served there for 10 years. And at that time, the schools were not having the best reputation for its academic program. And through a lot of leadership with many of the folks who are here tonight, including the mayor, we made some pretty radical changes in leadership and significant changes in policy. And both of those allowed us as the policymakers to revitalize the school, hire great talent, great leadership, and do some of the things that for years parents had bemoaned about a lack of quality, a lack of consistency in those programs, and left the school committee thereafter because I thought it was in really good hands, and we had built a school committee that I was really proud of. We had made some significant changes, while plenty more work to do. I think the school committee today has done that very well. I moved into the council for a couple of reasons. One, I really felt like the funding formula, both statewide and local, as it related to schools, needed some work. I worked with Senator Pearson. I also worked with the House delegation on school funding to provide some recommendations that the state could make legislatively to support our students within our community and statewide. And then thereafter, there were some things that I wanted to work on the council. But again, I think it went back to having really good leadership. When the mayor was elected, Mayor Mutter was elected, I think we got some really awesome things done. We had done some groundwork prior to, I see Councilor Schmidt is here, we had worked on overlay districts. And at that time, overlay districts were intended to revitalize those types of buildings that we struggled to rehabilitate Ann and Hope's a good example. At the time, the overlay districts were submitted to the council as a package, and Councilor Schmidt and I felt it was in the best interest of the community to break them down into smaller parts. So where the property is, where the new brewery is, that was the first overlay district that we enacted. I think that was, a great opportunity for us. Then thereafter, when the mayor got elected, we were able to check off some big and little boxes, and I experienced that with the school. Sometimes there were really big things, like massive, building projects, but then there were really small things, like painting the front door of the school. That mattered a lot to a lot of people. Or painting the flagpole. That, for me, was a memorable moment, because you really feel like, wow, I can actually get something done. But thereafter, on the town side, I felt that there were a number of things that we could definitely check off some boxes. And the first one was the senior center. And the seniors at the time bemoaned, you put a lot of dedication toward the schools, when are you going to fix the senior center? And fortunately, through the mayor's efforts, we were able to do that. And what their ask was at the time was they wanted a new light out front. That was it. But we were able to rehabilitate the building, which they wanted to stay in. They did not want a new building, and rebuild that so that it could be much more 21st century, 22nd century functioning for them. And we've done a lot of different initiatives like that over time, between Diamond Hill Park, Heritage Park, areas around some of the Puritan site where we're trying to cap that so it's safe for our community. Well, those are hard things to tangibly understand what the value is. The value is we're leaving our community in a better place than we started. And I think that that matters a lot. Whether you're in the northern part of town, the southern part of town, District 1 to District 5, it matters to all of us. So I think Tom's gonna give me the hook here in a second. The last thing I mentioned one more thing. The last thing I wanna mention is two small pieces of legislation. The first one that I sponsored and the council supported was to remove continuous contracts. So the town had these continuous contracts that would roll over, and the contracts would, the council would never see them. We legislated that they be brought forward to the council. And then the second item was putting detail on the town council agenda related to department reports. So you'll often see things like how many marriage licenses, how many building permits. All of that now is available to the public through the work that my brothers on the council and I led. Thank you.
Thank you. I gotta keep my credibility up as a moderator. I'll get a lot of comments about it later. So next up we have our Town Council District 4 race. We have two of the individuals here tonight who are running for that seat. We have Bruce Lemois, and then we have Jodi Harrington-Sweet. Oh, Sweet Harrington, sorry. So if you guys would both like to come up, have a seat. Bruce, how about you go first? Okay, great, thank you. Jodi, if you'd like to
Sure.
address us.
Hi everyone, my name is Jodi Harrington-Sweet, and I'm running for town council in District 4. I really love this town and our community. I think that living here is a privilege. My view of what makes us so special is really influenced a lot by Diamond Hill Road, specifically outside of Dave's Marketplace. That area is heavily trafficked, as probably everyone in here knows. And between all of the local businesses, the post office, the Dunkin', there are times of day where so many of us are trying to come in and out of that it seems impossible. But in Cumberland, unlike many of our nearby towns and cities, people really pause and let their neighbors through. They are choosing to make time and space for each other. That whole area functions because of the sense of community we share. I love living in a place where that happens without intervention. It's just who we are. I want to serve the people that make that choice. Community and local government have a symbiotic relationship. The town needs the community, and the community needs the town. Without a strong community of caring, passionate people, the town will become an empty bureaucracy. And without a functioning town government to provide structure and good stewardship of our resources, the community loses everything from parks and schools to public safety and beyond. In Cumberland, 80% of us voted to fund building improvements for our schools, to bring one of our most important resources into the future for our youngest neighbors. That decision requires careful planning and budgeting by our local government. I think Lisa did a great job of pointing out how much work is involved going to town council meetings and even a couple of subcommittee meetings. I have been witness to just how much work is involved in getting these things done and taking care of everything for everyone. We need that so that our good intentions don't lead to bad finances or worse outcomes than we intended. As a community, we can do great things together for children, seniors, and everyone in between, but we need the town to provide structure for us. I want to serve that need, If elected, I will provide good stewardship of our resources. I will listen to you about what is important to you and what you want done. If elected in November, I will do my best for you every day. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Jodi. And next up, we have Bruce Lemois.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and if you could not stop the clock yet, I'd like to recognize Scott Schmidt-Ryan. I just heard, so 12 years in the town council. It's an amazing run, worked very well with everybody, was a man of consensus, and I just wanted to give everybody an opportunity to thank him and his wife are successful business owners in the town, and they're great contributors. So we want to give Scott Thank you and welcome. It's exciting to see so many people here that are interested in local races. I'm sure there are more that couldn't make it. And Mr. Chairman, I actually wrote this last Friday before everything happened today, and I'm asking if we can have another one closer to November. We're in August, people have got Labor Day, we've got school, back to school, we've got last minute vacations. People just aren't really tuned into politics yet. I understand there are some people who are putting together another one for October, and maybe we'll have it in a larger hall with some better advertising, and not better advertising, but more time to advertise. I've decided to run again for the town council for 3 reasons. One, I love serving the town of Cumberland. Some don't understand it. I get this question a lot. Why do you do this? And I just tell people I love it. I love being part of the solution, and I love dealing with issues, and I love solving them. I love being part of the team that we've had before in the town of Cumberland. I served 6 years on the council, during which time was a good time for Cumberland. The second reason is I bring commitment and experience. With serving comes a big time commitment. This is not just 2 meetings a month. This is phone calls 3 or 4 nights a week with constituents. This is subcommittee meetings. This is going out to different school committee meetings. It's, for a hobby or for someone who wants to be involved, it's a big commitment. And I've made that commitment in the past. As I present my experience, it will show my commitment, because the two go hand in hand. Number 3 is I have a very positive outlook for Cumberland. We choose it. Either we're negative or we're positive. In my 20 years of serving Cumberland, I've seen the effect of both attitudes. We have to stay positive, even in light of issues needing to be fixed. We need to move them forward in a positive light. We all heard it, light will overdo darkness anytime. And that way we need to keep the light on things. And when you get problems at work, as soon as you focus on it, half of it's gone already. So it's good to know. Being part of the solution has many opportunities. And I've had the opportunity, the fortunate opportunity, to serve there. I volunteered for Cumberland Youth Baseball, Cumberland Youth Soccer. I was on the Cumberland Business Development Committee years ago, when I think it was Mayor Gashin or someone after that. So served on that. I'm currently on the Emerald Building Committee. I served on Town Council, as previously mentioned, and as well as the Cumberland Fire District. I think we've seen great accomplishments, and I've been glad to be part of them. Not only the overall condition of Cumberland, but also with our budgets. As mentioned in my why section, I bring experience, positive, truthful experience, and results-oriented. I'm rewriting this in my head right now, considering what happened over the last couple of days. I'm bringing an independence to the race that I have never brought before. I'm running as an independent for the first time. I was a member of the Democratic Town Committee for a few years. I have not been involved for the last 6 years, maybe even the 2 prior to that, where I was on the membership roll, but it was an active committee. I am now a registered, unaffiliated voter, because this race is nonpartisan. I did not seek the Democratic endorsement. My name was put on in error. So people think that because I didn't get it, I'm a sole loser and I changed parties. That's not the case. I never asked for it. I never sent the email in. I never filled out the survey that the town required, but yet my name was put on an error. So yeah, I have some past with the Democratic Party, but Cumberland's changing. The independents outrank everybody. District 4 needs an independent, truly independent leader on the council. The ability to work with everybody goes away when you hook yourself to a wagon of another candidate. And I'm not doing that. I don't know how someone can win a race and the person they've ditched over political season, now they want to try to get along. That's pretty tough. As an independent, a true independent candidate in this district, I commit to serving just District 4 and as the town in whole. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Jodi. One thing I just wanted to point out was it was only 10 days ago, on August 16th, that the Democratic Party was brought into this process and asked to participate. And not to pat myself or any of the other committee members on the back, but I feel like we've kind of risen to the occasion to still provide a forum that is informational to all of you. And I hope that, those of you in attendance and everybody who will be watching, later when we get this up online will appreciate this. And by no means do I hope that this is the only forum that happens. I would never hope that. I hope there are independent groups that come out and want to see these candidates debate. I hope that Mr. Dean decides to participate. I hope that Amanda Blades decides to participate. I hope that all the candidates who are running for office decide to participate, because they owe it to you to participate in democracy and share their vision for why they deserve your vote. Thank you. So next up, we have Council District 5. We have Robert Shaw, who's the incumbent councilman from District 5. His opponent, Mr. Sermley, decided not to show up, but Mr. Shaw is here, and we'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks for organizing this. I know I've gotten to know a lot of the people in this room over the many years I've been in Cumberland. For those that don't know me, I come from the town of North Smithfield, where I graduated high school in '94. Went straight into the Air Force right after graduating, and after serving 2 years, decided to move down to Manville. And within a couple years after that, in 2000, I bought my house on Cumberland Hill, where me and my wife have resided over the past 24 plus years. I didn't know what Cumberland was back then. I just was happy at 24 to own a house, start a family. Couldn't wait for my kids to start school so I can participate with my kids as they grow in the school community. In fact, the first month, September's, we didn't have kindergarten in Cumberland Hill at the time. I couldn't wait for the first PTO meeting. And I see Megan and Cheryl in here that was like the beginning of what is now been this journey. After serving on the PTO as president for the final 3 years, I was approached in 2014 by somebody that says, you should give town council a shot. You did well with the PTO, council's a breeze. So I did have hair when I started, just so you know. And it has been a wonderful ride. And I think my background, 20 years working for retail at Men's Warehouse, I'm a haberdasher by trade, and then 10 years at BMW in customer service. There's nothing more important to me than just being polite, talking to people, listening to people. And I think my time at Men's Warehouse really trained me, and I didn't even know it, for who I am today. And why, for me, it's so easy when I get an email or a phone call. I'm having a problem. Not a problem. Let's meet and let's talk. Let's figure it out. Let's see who we need to call so that you can get the answers that you need to get past your problem. And I think overall, that has been the most satisfying and gratifying part about this job. We're not talking about national issues here. We're talking about a community where I believe everybody should participate in that community. Now, it can be a level of just getting out to vote, and that's the extent of your involvement. It could be joining a board, youth groups, you know, adding some of you to the equation, and all the way up to actually running. So you can't really blame the direction unless you help participate in that direction. And I think that this town, over the years that I've seen, my experience the last 10 years, I mean, I've supported 2 administrations in ventures which they seemed was the path to take. There's also issues that come up where I don't see eye to eye with it. But that's part about being a community. You have to have those sort of grown-up discussions in a way that, in a forum that allows you to not only speak your opinion, but be able to speak for the people you represent. And I think I've done that great for the past 10 years. In closing, just for a couple of things, I know Ms. Beaulieu pointed out some things that she's been able to pass. I'm pretty proud of a nice little park that sits in my densely populated neighborhood that I started petitioning for many, many years before I even thought about running. But it took 12 years to build, so I'm proud of that. And for anyone that owns a fire pit in this town, you're welcome. I brought that forth to the council for legalization because it didn't make sense how 25% of the people in town had fire pits, but yet they were illegal. So, and that's what it is. It's about changing those little things, growing with the times, understanding that the times are changing, being open-minded. It's not just having blinders on and getting your thing done. It's a we discussion, not an I discussion. So, thank you.
Next up, we're going to switch over to school committee. So we're going to start with school committee at large. We have Ray Salvatore is here tonight, and then also Amy Vogel. So if you guys mind coming up. And we'll have Amy start.
Excellent, thank you. Good evening. As you all know, I'm Amy Vogel, and I thank you tonight for allowing me the opportunity to speak to the Cumberland residents. Currently, I serve on the school committee and am part of the fiscal subcommittee. I was appointed to the school committee in January 2023, and I'm excited to be running for one of the at-large seats in this upcoming election. At-large meaning the whole town. I did not know that 3 or 4 years ago, so. In addition, I serve on a variety of community organizations and boards, the Cumberland Lincoln Rotary, the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce, and Business Owners of Child Care Association. These organizations give me the opportunity to volunteer and be part of the community. I truly believe community involvement is #1 to help create empathy and know our neighbors. For my profession, I am the CEO of multi-organization made up of Dr. Daycare Child Care Centers, Kids Club 501c3 nonprofit school-age programs, and therapeutic child care service inclusion program for children with special needs. Currently, we have 8 Dr. Daycare early learning centers and 11 before and after school programs. I have been in the field of child care my entire life.